Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Cracking the Code, the fundamental components of life's mystery. A transformative journey to unlock the secrets to a fulfilling life. In this series, we will delve deep into the core elements that shape our existence, providing insights, strategies, and wisdom to help you navigate life's complexities with confidence and purpose. Join us as we embark on this quest to decode the mysteries of life and discover the key to living a truly meaningful and impactful life. Chapter 1. Philosophy. Philosophy serves as the primary foundation for understanding the 5 major pieces to the life puzzle. One of the key determinants of our life outcomes is our thought process. Our personal philosophy is shaped by our internal thoughts, ideas, and the information we absorb. This philosophy, in turn, guides our habits and behavior, marking the starting point of our life's journey. How our personal philosophy is formed. Our personal philosophy is shaped by our knowledge and the process through which we acquire it. Throughout our lives, we receive information from various sources, including school, friends, media, home, books, and personal experiences. These sources contribute to the formation of our current philosophy, which acts as a filter for new information we encounter as adults. As we receive new information, we assess it based on our existing beliefs. Information that aligns with our current beliefs reinforces our thinking, while contradictory ideas are often dismissed. This process of evaluating new information against our existing beliefs helps us refine and expand our philosophy over time. Our beliefs not only shape our philosophy but also influence our values. Our values guide our decisions and actions, determining what we consider valuable. For example, someone who wakes up early to pursue opportunities for their family is acting based on their belief in the value of hard work and providing for loved ones. On the other hand, someone who sleeps until noon may prioritize rest or leisure. Our beliefs also influence our opinions on various issues, such as government, education, and the economy. These opinions further contribute to our evolving philosophy and influence the decisions we make each day. Ultimately, the quality of our decisions and the direction of our lives depend on the information we have gathered and the beliefs we hold. Our personal philosophy is constantly evolving as we encounter new information and experiences, shaping our values and guiding our actions. Personal philosophy is like the set of the sail. In the process of living, the winds of circumstance blow on us all in an unending flow that touches each of our lives. We have all experienced the blowing winds of disappointment, despair, and heartbreak. Why, then, would each of us, in our own individual ship of life, all beginning at the same point, with the same intended destination in mind, arrive at such different places at the end of the journey? Have we not all sailed on the same sea? Have we not all been blown by the same winds of circumstance and buffeted by the same turbulent storms of discontent? What guides us to different destinations in life is determined by the way we have chosen to set our sail. The way that each of us thinks makes the major difference in where each of us arrives. The major difference is not circumstance. The major difference is the set of the sail. The same circumstances happen to us all. We all have those moments when, in spite of our best plans and efforts, things just seem to fall apart. Challenging circumstances are not events reserved for the poor, the uneducated, or the destitute. The rich and the poor have children who get into trouble. The rich and the poor have marital problems. The rich and the poor have the same challenges that can lead to financial ruin and personal despair. In the final analysis, it is not what happens that determines the quality of our lives. It is what we choose to do when we have struggled to set the sail and then discover, after all of our efforts, that the wind has changed direction. When the winds change, we must change. We must struggle to our feet once more and reset the sail in the manner that will steer us toward the destination of our own deliberate choosing. The set of the sail, how we think and how we respond, has a far greater capacity to destroy our lives than any challenges we face. How quickly and responsibly we react to adversity is far more important than the adversity itself. Once we discipline ourselves to understand this, we will finally and willingly conclude that the great challenge of life is to control the process of our own thinking. Learning to reset the sail with the changing winds rather than permitting ourselves to be blown in a direction we did not purposely choose requires the development of a whole new discipline. It involves going to work on establishing a powerful personal philosophy that will help to influence in a positive way all that we do and all that we think and decide. If we can succeed in this worthy endeavor, the result will be a change in the course of our income, bank account, lifestyle, and relationships, and in how we feel about the things of value as well as the times of challenge. If we can alter the way we perceive, judge, and decide upon the main issues of life, then we can dramatically change our lives. How to develop a powerful personal philosophy. The greatest influence on what we decide to do with tomorrow's opportunity is not going to be circumstance, but rather what and how we think. What we think and the conclusions we reach regarding life's challenges is going to be the sum total of what we have learned until now. The learning process plays a major role in determining our personal philosophy. Over the years, we have all managed to gather up considerable knowledge. We cannot live without the information that surrounds us making an impact on how we think. The human mind is continually taking pictures and recording the sights and sounds around us. Every experience is etched into the neurons of the brain. Every word, every song, every television program, every conversation, and every book has made an electrical or chemical imprint on our mental computers. Each emotion, each thought, each activity in which we have been engaged has created a new circuit in the brain, which is linked to all of the other circuits that already existed. All that has touched our lives has been indelibly recorded, and all that we now are is the result of an accumulation of input which is intricately connected by a delicate combination of chemical and electrical impulses stored in the 3-pound brain. All that has ever happened in and around us is now this uniqueness we call self, the individual human being. How we use all of this information and the way in which we assemble the knowledge we have gathered forms our personal philosophy. The problem is that much of the information we have gathered has resulted in erroneous conclusions about life that can actually block the achievement of our goals. The only way to eliminate these mental barriers is to review, realign, and revise our personal philosophy. The best way to establish a new and powerful personal philosophy is to begin with an objective review of the conclusions we have drawn about life. Any conclusion that is not working for us may actually be working against us. Suppose, for example, a man has decided that his current employer is not paying him enough. His value system, based on years of accumulated information and experiences, then says, "That's not fair." This value judgment causes him to take specific steps in retaliation. As a result, he reduces his efforts and does only those things he feels his current paycheck justifies. There is nothing wrong with this decision, provided his goal is to remain where he is, doing what he is currently doing, and getting paid what he is currently getting paid for the rest of his life. All of our counterproductive beliefs and choices are the result of years of accumulating misinformation. We have simply been around the wrong sources and gathered up the wrong data. The decisions we are making are not wrong based on the information we have. It is the information we have that is causing us to make wrong decisions. Unfortunately, these wrong decisions are leading us further away from rather than closer toward the achievement of our goals. The importance of new information. Since it is virtually impossible to identify and erase all of the misleading information in our mental computers, the only way to change our thinking habits is to input new information. Unless we change what we know, we will continue to believe, decide, and act in a manner that is contrary to our best interests. Getting the information that success and happiness require and getting it accurately is essential. Otherwise, we will inevitably drift into ignorance, becoming deluded by our power, our prestige, and our possessions. The question is Where can we get new, accurate, and better ideas and information that will enable us to become more than we are? Fortunately, there is a wealth of positive information all around us, just waiting to be used. Learn from personal experiences. One of the best ways to expand the dimensions of our knowledge is by conducting a serious review of our own past experiences. We all have a university of experience within us. The books lining the shelves of our minds were written and placed there by all that we have experienced since birth. These experiences have suggested to us that there is a right way and a wrong way to everything we do and to every decision that confronts us, as well as to every obstacle that challenges us. One way to learn to do something right is to do something wrong. We learn from failure as well as success. Failure must teach us, or surely success will not reward us. Past failures and errors must prompt us to amend current conduct, or the present and the future will be little more than a duplicate of the past. We all have recorded memories of past deeds, and of the subsequent rewards or consequences of those deeds. The key is to make the memories of past events our servants, lest the repetition of those events makes us their slave. We must labor to make certain that our memories of past experiences, whether good or bad, are accurate if they are to serve us and to make the future better than our past. We must reflect on our past, reliving the moments, pondering the lessons, and refining our current conduct based on the lessons of our personal history. If we have manipulated the truth of the past, if we have tended to blame others rather than ourselves, then we are seeking an escape from reality, and we will be destined to repeat past errors and relive present difficulties. Learn from an outside voice. We could all use a little coaching. In a sense, that is the purpose of this book. It brings to those in search of insights and ideas a new and objective voice. We are all capable of correcting our own errors, but there is often great value in an outside voice, someone who can provide an objective appraisal of how we are and what we are doing, and the potential impact of our thoughts and actions on our better future. An objective appraisal from someone whose opinion we respect, someone other than ourselves, will enable us to see things that we do not see. In our personal world, we tend to see only the trees, while the objective and capable friend will more likely see the forest. Objectivity, brought to us in the form of wise counsel from one we trust and respect, can lead us to early and accurate information about ourselves and our decision-making process. It can prevent us from reaching faulty conclusions based on familiarity with our environment. We are wise indeed if we discipline ourselves to take counsel and suggestion from someone who cares, lest life and circumstances force us to take it from one who does not care. In the world of business, successful executives often turn to consultants who bring the freshness of the outside voice. Company employees can become so familiar with the problem at hand that they have lost their ability to see the solution that sits on their shoulders. We must all make certain that we have access to our own select person or group of associates to whom we can turn for counsel when the winds have changed so often that we are no longer certain if we are still on course. Others can help us to examine our actions objectively to ensure that we have not drifted too far away from the fundamentals, the basics. Learn from other people's experience with failure. Other people and their personal experiences offer untold opportunities for learning. Through the experiences of others, there are two valuable sources of information available: two attitudes of mind, two categories of those with similar experiences, but with remarkably different results. We are exposed on a daily basis to representatives of both groups. Each group seeks its own audience, and each has an effect on those who choose to listen. But both sources are important. One serves as an example to be followed, the other as an example to be avoided, as a warning to be studied but not emulated. We should all be students of failure. It is part of the world experience, part of the life experience. Why do we want to study the failures? So that we can learn what not to do. All experiences can serve as our teachers provided we learn from the information and invest its value in our own lives. There are those who teach that associations with people who have not done well with their lives and their opportunities should be avoided at all cost for fear that we will learn their poor habits, and as a consequence, repeat their unfortunate mistakes. However, as someone wisely said, those who do not learn from the mistakes of the past are condemned to repeat them. If we ignore the lessons of the past, from whatever the source, then we may become victims of the process of trial and error. By ignoring the lessons of history, our own trials will inevitably try us, and our own errors will ultimately destroy us. It is unfortunate, perhaps, that those who fail do not teach their experiences for all to hear. If we had more opportunity to learn from the negative experiences of others, we might well save our own lives from certain disaster. Learn from other people's success. It is worth whatever time we must take and whatever we must invest to make a study of people who do well. Gather the ideas and the information from all of the available sources. Read the books. Attend the seminars. Spend time gathering the knowledge that success requires. Study the habits, the language, the manner of dress, and the disciplines of those who have succeeded. One of the great sources of wisdom from those who have done well can be found in the many quote books that are available in bookstores. Just by reading the words of what the greatest among us, past and present, have had to say, we can come to a better understanding of the thoughts that guided the lives of those who were great enough, persuasive enough, influential enough, and successful enough to be quoted. Capitalize on the power of positive influence. Each of us should be in constant search of people we can admire and respect, people after whom we can pattern part of our own behavior. Much of who and what we are at this very moment is a composite of the many people who have influenced us over the years. When we were younger, our idols were often storybook characters, movie stars, and famous musicians. For a while, we walked, dressed, and even tried to talk like our heroes. As we grew older and our own unique personalities began to develop, our emulation of others became less apparent, but the influence was there nonetheless. Regardless of our age or circumstances, we are never beyond the reach of influence. The key is to find unique human beings whose personalities and achievements stimulate, fascinate, and inspire us, and then strive to assimilate their best qualities. Great projects are always built from a pattern or blueprint. In this lifetime, there is no greater project than the deliberate development of our own lives. Therefore, we each need a blueprint, something or someone to look at and pattern ourselves after if we want to make change and progress. We are all being influenced by someone. Since this influence will determine to some extent the direction of our lives, it is far better to deliberately choose the people we will permit to influence us than to allow the power of the wrong influence to weave its effect on us without our knowledge or conscious choice. Become a good observer. We must never allow a day to pass without finding the answers to a list of important questions such as, what is going on in our industry? What new challenges are currently facing our government, our community, our neighborhood? What are the new breakthroughs, the new opportunities, the new tools and techniques that have recently come to light? Who are the new personalities that are influencing world and local opinion? We must become good observers and astute evaluators of all that is going on around us. All events affect us, and what affects us leaves an imprint on what we will one day be and how we will one day live. One of the major reasons why people are not doing well is because they keep trying to get through the day. A more worthy challenge is to try to get from the day. We must become sensitive enough to observe and ponder what is happening around us. Be alert, be awake. Let life and all of its subtle messages touch us. Often, the most extraordinary opportunities are hidden among the seemingly insignificant events of life. If we do not pay attention to these events, we can easily miss the opportunities. Become a good listener. It is challenging today to be a good listener. There are so many voices that want our attention, each with its own special message and each with its own special appeal. One of the best ways to deal with this important challenge is to develop the skill of selective listening. Selective listening is like tuning a radio to find the station that most appeals to us. As we turn the dial, we listen for a second or two and then either keep searching or stop dialing, depending on what we have just heard. Whenever a voice calls out for our attention, we must pause for a while to ponder the message. If the message is shallow or ignorant, we must discipline ourselves to move on. We must touch the scan switch and move on to the next voice so that the ignorant and shallow message does not affect us. Everything we hear is being recorded in our mental computers and forming a new connection in the brain. We might listen to some voices for a time out of curiosity, but if the voice is not leading toward the achievement of our goals, then we must exercise great caution in how long we listen. Only when we have found a source of valuable information should we allow the message to touch us so that it might add value to who and what we already are. One of the greatest attributes of leadership is effective communication, and learning what to say comes only when we have learned how to listen. The art of listening is an opportunity to add to our knowledge and to increase our value. The process of speaking, on the other hand, is the act of putting on display all, or the little, that we have learned. We must first master the art of listening before our spoken words will have any great value to others. The best way to learn what to say to our children is to listen to them. We should read the books they are reading and become familiar with the messages they are receiving from a variety of sources. Listening to the information that is reaching our children will not only increase our awareness of their decision-making process, but it will also help us to talk more effectively with our children about what is valuable. Read all the books. All of the books that we will ever need to make us as rich, as healthy, as happy, as powerful, as sophisticated, and as successful as we want to be have already been written. People from all walks of life, people with some of the most incredible life experiences, people that have gone from pennies to fortune and from failure to success, have taken the time to write down their experiences so that we might share in their wealth of knowledge. They have offered their wisdom and experience so that we can be inspired by it and instructed by it, and so that we can amend our philosophy by it. Their contributions enable us to reset our sail based upon their experiences. They have handed us the gift of their insights so that we can change our plans if need be, in order to avoid their errors. We can rearrange our lives based on their wise advice. All of the insights that we might ever need have already been captured by others in books. The important question is this: in the last 90 days, with this treasure of information that could change our lives, our fortunes, our relationships, our health, our children, and our careers for the better, how many books have we read? Why do we neglect to read the books that can change our lives? Why do we complain but remain the same? Why do so many of us curse the effect but nourish the cause? How do we explain the fact that only 3% of our entire national population possess a library card? A card that would give us access to all of the answers to success and happiness we could ever want. Those who wish for the better life cannot permit themselves to miss the books that could have a major impact on how their lives turn out. The book they miss will not help. And the issue is not that books are too expensive. If a person concludes that the price of buying the book is too great, wait until he must pay the price for not buying it. Wait until he receives the bill for continued and prolonged ignorance. There is very little difference between someone who cannot read and someone who will not read. The result of either is ignorance. Those who are serious seekers of personal development must remove the self-imposed limitations they have placed on their reading skills and their reading habits. There are a multitude of classes being taught on how to be a good reader, and there are thousands of books on the shelves of the public libraries just waiting to be read. Reading is essential for those who seek to rise above the ordinary. We must not permit anything to stand between us and the book that could change our lives. A little reading each day will result in a wealth of valuable information in a very short period of time. But if we fail to set aside the time, if we fail to pick up the book, if we fail to exercise the discipline, then ignorance will quickly move in to fill the void. Those who seek a better life must first become a better person. They must continually seek after self-mastery for the purpose of developing a balanced philosophy of life, and then live in accordance with the dictates of that philosophy. The habit of reading is a major stepping stone in the development of a sound philosophical foundation. It is one of the fundamentals required for the attainment of success and happiness. Keep a personal journal. In our continuing search for knowledge and understanding, there is another major discipline that will help us to capture the information around us so that our future will be better than the past. Keeping a personal journal. A journal is a gathering place for all of our observations and discoveries about life. It is our own handwritten transcript, narrated in our own words, which captures the experiences, ideas, desires, and conclusions about the people and events that have touched our lives. A journal provides us with two remarkable benefits. First, it allows us to capture all aspects of the present moment for future review. The events that take place in our lives, experiences that we live and learn from, should not just happen. They should be captured so that their lessons can be invested in the future. The past, when properly documented, is one of the best guides for making good decisions today that will lead to a better tomorrow. While it is true that every event is recorded in the brain, we cannot always access the specifics surrounding those events at will. Often, the details can become blurred or distorted over time. We may remember the outcome, but we may have forgotten the exact sequence of events or the decisions that were made. Without accurate information to enhance our recall of the past, we run the risk of repeating many of the same errors over and over again. Without a journal, those special moments, those milestones of emotion and experience, will be blown by the winds of our own forgetfulness into a deep corner of the mind where their value will become lost forever. The emotion of that special moment, unless captured in a journal, will soon fade. We may recall the event, but we will have lost the emotion. The second benefit of keeping a journal is that the very act of writing about our lives helps us to think more objectively about our actions. Writing tends to slow down the flow of information. As we pause to gather our thoughts about an event we are trying to capture on paper, we have time to ponder and to analyze the experience. We begin to see more clearly the sources of our information, the facts on which we based our decisions, and the action we are taking in response to our beliefs. In other words, it is not just the event but also our personal philosophy that comes under intense scrutiny in the process of capturing our lives on paper. And it is this intense scrutiny that enables us to make refinements to our philosophy that are truly life-changing. The discipline of keeping a journal also develops our ability to communicate more effectively. The more we practice capturing events and emotions with words, the more clearly we are able to communicate not only our ideas, but also the inherent value that exists within us. It is an interesting fact that when President Kennedy was assassinated, the personal journals of some of the country's most influential leaders captured the events of that sad day. As Air Force One cut through the sky from Dallas to Washington bearing the body of the slain president, many sat in silence, recording in their journals their vivid recall of the tragedy. It was one of those rare events when history was recorded as it happened, not merely speculated on by historians in a distant era. That combination of written accounts later served as the basis for William Manchester's The Death of a President, one of the greatest historical documents ever written. Most men and women of accomplishment maintain and frequently review their personal journals. It is second nature to them. They seem to possess an inherent instinct that tells them that a life worth living is a life worth documenting. In fact, the process of making a deliberate and consistent habit of writing in journals may well be a major reason for their rise to above-average levels of achievement. It is the small disciplines that lead to great accomplishments. When average people give care and attention to important matters, their own growth into greatness merely awaits the passage of time. Both small disciplines and minor mistakes in judgment tend to accumulate, the former to our benefit and the latter to our detriment. Neither success nor failure occurs in a single cataclysmic event. Both are the result of the accumulation of seemingly small and insignificant decisions whose collective weight over the period of a lifetime presents the individual with his or her proportionate reward. The use or the neglect of journals is not indispensable to the achievement of success, but the use of a journal is an important piece of the life puzzle called philosophy. By neglecting the journal, the puzzle can never be truly complete. Surely our lives are worth more than a birth certificate. A gravestone and $500,000 in consumed goods and services compressed between those major milestones in our lives. Journals are the tools that enable us to document the details of the failure as well as the progress of our existence, and in the process, allows us to become more than we otherwise might have been. We are rapidly becoming a nation of passive intellects. The continued neglect of our reading and our writing skills is leading to increasingly undisciplined thinking habits. If we doubt this, we need only to look at how many of our loved ones are turning to drugs, how many of our citizens are involved in violent or white-collar crimes, and how many of our children are dropping out of school. Poor thinking habits, poor values, poor decisions. And if this trend remains unchecked, we could soon decline to the level of a third-rate power. We cannot become a stronger nation until our attention to the essentials of life begins to change. The ability to establish more competent leadership in our government, our schools, our churches, our businesses, and our communities lies in the emerging value of the individual. That is why each of us must make a commitment to develop our full human potential, one discipline at a time, one book at a time, and one small entry in our journal at a time. Only by our personal philosophy and change not only our own lives, but also the lives of those around us.